I think that he is more controversial than he is influential. He has gotten some things wrong that he shouldn't have over the years. I don't know that Candace's situation affects him more one way or the other. I also just don't think that he is as charismatic or as compelling as other people. Put it this way. If I were offered to join his team or yours, I wouldn't have thought about it for a nanosecond. Why? Because he's about courting the converted.
Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire have been catching flack from all directions for the firing of Candace Owens and the other statements that they've been making about people like Tucker Carlson and a lot of others throughout the space. And Patrick Bet-David and his crew have been very, very critical of Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire for these reasons. And this video doesn't, go any differently than all the other ones where they were criticizing the Daily Wire. And this time, Patrick Bet-David is not just doing it by himself, but he's also joined by Chris Cuomo, who was a very controversial hire by Valuetainment and Patrick Bet-David recently. But Patrick Bet-David, just doesn't really care about all that criticism. He has a vision for what he wants to build, and it seems like he's sticking to that vision, regardless of what people think about him and say about him online. Anyway, let's get into what Patrick Bet-David has to say about Ben Shapiro ripping Tucker Carlson and firing Candace Owens, and also what Chris Cuomo has to say about the whole situation. Let's check this out.
Dave Rubin came here, Chris. Dave Rubin came here and we were having a conversation. This was a day after Daily Wire fires Candace Owens, right?
The day before.
He comes the day before right. Daily Wire fires Candace Owens, and they go their separate ways, right? And, we had this conversation, and somehow some of the conversation led to who has a bigger influence in the conservative political space. And he made it seem like Ben Shapiro is number one above and beyond anybody else as a conservative voice, and Tucker is behind him. Who do you think has a bigger voice within the conservative?
Of course he is, man. Of course he would say that, because he's a neocon, just like Ben Shapiro is. They have to stick together. The people like Dave Rubin and Ben Shapiro. And to be completely honest with you, I don't know Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin's relationship. They might be best friends. They might be enemies. I don't know. I have no clue. I would assume that they are close friends because, like I said, they're both neocons, so they have to stick together just like all the rest of them.
Conservative, voter, Tucker or Ben Shapiro?
I think Shapiro is far down the list.
Far down the list.
Yeah,
I agree. And if you know anything about the Daily Wire business model and how they run things and how they get their viewership and stuff like that, then you would probably also agree too. And, just the business model, just to give you an example really quick, and I don't say this in like a detrimental way. Like, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all. Or like, I don't think that this takes away from their success or anything like that. I think they've been obviously very, very successful. The Daily Wire has been extremely successful. Ben Shapiro has been extremely successful. But if you look at the views that they get on YouTube, they're all, they run ads to all their videos. So their main funnel is to get eyeballs on YouTube, send people over to their website, get memberships, and sell advertising on their website and stuff like that. And they run ads on all their YouTube videos. And a lot of their reach isn't organic reach. It's all advertising. They run Google ads to their YouTube videos. So yeah, I mean, like if you look at just the numbers, like view counts on YouTube for the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro, it looks like they have a lot of views, but a lot of it is advertising. It's paid views.
I think that he is more controversial than he is influential. He has gotten some things wrong that he shouldn't have over the years. I don't know that Candace's situation affects him more one way or the other. I also just don't think that he is as charismatic or as compelling as other people. Put it this way. If I were offered to join his team or yours, I wouldn't have thought about it for a nanosecond. Why? Because he's about courting the converted. And the future of independent media is about common concerns and reaching across. It's absolutely the right space. He's not in that space. And getting rid of Candace, he made it clear that he doesn't want to be in that space. So Tucker Carlson is absolutely a giant figure there. I mean, Trump's son wants him to be the vice president. I think that's nonsense. But Tucker Carlson is clearly more influential. I think Bongino is more influential. I think Mark Levin is more influential. Why? Because they have more people who are absolutely going to vote listening to them. That's what cable is. If you're listening to cable, you vote. Okay. So And no disrespect to Shapiro. I think it's incredible how entrepreneurial.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
He's been good for him. A guy who's, not exactly telegenic, doesn't have the best voice, is not a commanding speaker. He's made himself a figure. Good for him. More proof of best ideas win.
Good idea, bad idea for them to fire Candace Owens. And, you've been through this before on the back end where not everybody knows the whole story. Is it, well, we don't know the whole story. Good move, bad end. Those two couldn't coexist. They took a certain position with the, October 7th over, keeping it. What are your thoughts about what happened with Daily Wire and Candace Owens?
Depends on what you want to be about. I think for Shapiro, he was in a no-win situation. I mean, this is a devout Jewish man who absolutely believes in the Zionist agenda, and Candace Owens does not, and absolutely pushes the envelope in terms of how she makes arguments in that regard. Again, I know it's frustrating for people. I know it's unsatisfying. I know that we're polarized and we're stuck only seeing advantage. And if there's no advantage to me, then it must be bad. I believe in more voices, not less. Does Candace say things that...
This is also just crazy coming out of Chris Cuomo's mouth that he believes in more voices, not less, because if he wasn't working for Patrick Bet-David, I don't believe for a second he'd be saying these things. I talk about the things that Andrew Klavan has been saying, on the video that I did yesterday and in the past about Candace Owens and about Ben Shapiro and about how he's basically just up his butt all the time. He's always up Ben Shapiro's butt. Like he's supposed to be a Christian, and he's constantly saying like how, Jewish people need more power and stuff like that. It's the weirdest thing ever. And, it's kind of the same thing with the Chris Cuomo, Patrick Bet-David situation, where Chris Cuomo was not saying these things until he was on Patrick Bet-David's payroll. Let's be real. He wasn't saying, oh, we need more free speech. We need the more voices, the better. He wasn't saying this stuff, dude. I don't think he truly believes this stuff. But anyway, I don't think he's completely wrong about Ben Shapiro either. I think he's in the right. I don't know if Tucker Carlson is the most influential conservative voice, but let me know in the comments. Do you think that Tucker Carlson is the most influential conservative voice? It's definitely not Ben Shapiro, and for the exact reason that Chris Cuomo and Patrick Bet-David gave here. He's not influential because he's already speaking to the converted. His target audience is exactly what I say all the time. It's the boomer conservative, the people who are smart enough and up to date enough to know that mainstream media is lying to you, the mainstream news is lying to you, but not smart enough to know that Ben Shapiro is also lying to you. He's advertising the Daily Wire as like a refuge for those people who are running away from mainstream media. Little do they know that he is going to lie to you just as much as mainstream media, if not more. So I agree with Chris Cuomo there, which is crazy to say out loud.
She shouldn't? No. Does she say things that are easily countered? Yes. Then have the conversation. I believe in that. I felt the same way about Ronna McDaniel. NBC lost an opportunity in that. I would love to have Ronna on set and be like, hey, True the Vote just said that they don't have any of the proof of the affidavits that you were banking on all the time about the fake votes in Georgia. Do you accept that? Yes, I accept it. Okay, so we can put that to bed. There aren't all these affidavits out there that say that there are fake votes. You understand that? Yes, I don't think that's true. But I do think now people who are Trumpers like her, even though he's not crazy about her right now, but that can change any second, they've had an opportunity to listen to one of their own, say something that they can now process. That is a very valuable opportunity. NBC blew it because they want to preach to the converted. Ben Shapiro made his own decision because it affects his faith, probably. But I do not believe in limiting voices. I think it's a mistake.
Got amount of traffic we're getting right now with Manek.
Yeah, like I said, if this were 2 years ago, whatever, if Chris Cuomo was still working for CNN, he would not be saying that. So that does just kind of blow my mind that he's saying that. But at the same time, he's not wrong. He's saying what I believe. I just don't believe that he also believes that. A lot of people on the right are so quick to just accept people in with open arms whenever they say something that they agree with, because it's not often that people with large platforms agree with the right at all. So I won't be surprised at all when a ton of people on the right are, accepting Chris Cuomo with open arms. Of course, people like Tim Pool and everybody else had meltdowns whenever Patrick Bet-David hired Chris Cuomo, and I don't like the guy either. I see what Patrick Bet-David's going for, but I don't like the guy either, and I think a lot of people are going to end up probably just go ahead and accepting Chris Cuomo very, very soon. But I think he's spot on with the stuff he's saying about Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. They're entrepreneurs more than they are activists or people who want to see the betterment of America or the Western world in general. They want to make money. They want to generate revenue. And I wish they were more honest about that. I say it over and over again. I wish they were just honest about it. You know, I don't think Valuetainment's much different either. I think they're different in their approach, and they see that the future is having, you know, tough conversations about, you know, like actual having the hard conversations. Instead of firing Candace Owens, you have a conversation with her, like Chris Cuomo was saying there. That would be how I think Valuetainment and Patrick Bet-David would handle that kind of situation. Whereas the Daily Wire is just like, nah, we're going to just stay on our echo chamber, and anybody who disagrees with what we have to say, they're getting fired. They're out of here. You know, that's going to be outdated very, very soon. People aren't going to like that very soon. And it's already happening right now. So I thought Chris Cuomo was spot on with the stuff that he's saying about Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with Chris Cuomo? And do you think the right will end up accepting Chris Cuomo if he just keeps saying these talking points that he knows the right just absolutely eat up? I don't think he believes this. He's either lying currently, or he's been lying for the past however many so years he's worked for CNN and been a hardcore leftist and pushing all the narratives that the woke left push. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this whole Chris Cuomo, Patrick Bet-David versus Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire situation.